Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Innerviews, where we listen to the stories of the people behind the businesses in South Africa. And today I'm chatting with Cindy Pivacic, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about her business. So, Cindy, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me here today and giving me the opportunity to share my bit of my journey with everybody else and all the entrepreneurs out there. I hope you are doing well during the current challenges, and I know it's not easy. So just to be able to have this opportunity to share information with people and listen to Melanie's interviews, I think is absolutely a wonderful opportunity. Yeah, so thank you very much.
It's a huge pleasure. It's a huge pleasure. So tell us a little bit more about your business. What do you do and why did you start it?
Okay, this is a quite a strange little journey that got me to where I am now. The fact that I'm HIV positive is a big part of where I am now. My career started off out in sales and marketing, and it's stood me in very good stead for where I am now. I was diagnosed HIV positive in 2004. That's almost 16 years now. And the fact that I have taken that and run with the diagnosis. It did take me a while, however. It took me 6 years to actually go public with this. But in the background, prior to me going public with this, I started doing sort of undercover things with nonprofit organizations, doing counseling, getting myself through counseling courses and so on. And when I eventually got pushed by one of the founders of a nonprofit organization to present at one of their fundraising functions, I nearly lost my mind, and I'd vowed never to do anything speaking publicly, not even with my HIV status. But anyway, she said to me, "No, it'll be fine." Trust me, it wasn't.
Okay.
But I went out there and I did something like 7 minutes, but I was like shaking like a leaf. But once I'd got past that stage, I realized the need for going out and speaking to people about living positively, being resilient, and what have you. And that's kind of how my life evolved. I went public eventually only in 2012 when I had my first interview, very public interview on Carte Blanche. I actually went public in January of 2011, but it really started in 2012. And from there, it just escalated, and I got involved with people that kind of gave me a push and a shove. And I eventually wrote 2 books. The first one I wrote was I've got to think, The Deadly Seducer, and that I can't even claim fame to the written to the title of that. I did write it, but the title was coined by a newspaper that had interviewed me, and I thought, wow, that's actually a perfect title. The Deadly Seducer had attacked me, and the person that infected me, kind of the deadly seducer as well. So my writing started, my training, I started training people, I started speaking out publicly about it. And because of the book that I wrote, it kind of developed into people starting to ask me whether I could assist them. Can I help them with the marketing of their book? And so the PR business of mine grew as well. I must say I was quite fortunate that I have a very inquisitive, inquiring, curious mind. And because of my sales and marketing background, I was very interested in everything social media. So I basically taught myself, and I developed a pretty good knowledge of the marketing. And I did admittedly have a lot of people that in my network that was supporting the process. And I grew my PR ninja out of that. And from there, so I managed to get well, because I'm pushy, I suppose, a little bit, I hooked myself um, a hosting position, for want of a better word, of putting out there, on Cape Town TV. And I interviewed other people on health and wellness, not necessarily related to HIV, but with that idea in mind. And I also hosted a radio show on hashtag radio when it was still running. And I interviewed authors. And so all this came together and put me into the PR position that I am in now. And it really is, life is actually what you open yourself up to. And I thoroughly enjoy the social media side of it, the PR, the marketing. I get into that, and yeah, it's just opening yourself up and being aware of what is around you and what people are asking you to do. I mean, it wasn't my idea to go into the PR as such, but I've just got another inquiry now during lockdown, and honestly, if you are open to it, there's so much opportunity, so much opportunity. So that's kind of how I got into where I am.
Well, what I find so inspiring about your story is most people would hear a devastating diagnosis like that and feel that their life is over. And it almost sounds as though your life kind of began at that point.
No, absolutely. I do believe it did. Some people say, "Oh, but weren't you depressed? Weren't you this?" Honestly, no. Fortunately, I don't come from a background where I was. It wasn't part of our makeup, and I do understand that other people do suffer from depression, and it's not always easy for them to accept their status. The fact that I was a little older probably came in handy, and I'd had my children already. I am also a lay counselor, so I do lay counseling for people that are diagnosed with HIV as well. And not only that, just to give you a little bit more of the background to this, just to show that, you know, life is actually what you make of it. In the 4 years after I was diagnosed, 2004 to 2008, I had 2 strokes, I had shingles, I had pneumonia, I had TB meningitis, and I was diagnosed with cancer.
Wow.
Angioimmunoblastic lymphadenopathy, which is a rare form of cancer associated with HIV.
Are you a cat?
Apparently. One more thing. One more thing. I had a massive heart attack 2 years ago and a double bypass. Yes, I had 0% blood flow on the left-hand side and 0.01% blood flow on the right-hand side. So, yes, I think I am a cat.
It's amazing. You just keep coming back.
Hulle sê mos onkruid vergaan nie.
So what do you think your secret is?
I just don't know. I tell people it's probably because I'm too stupid to know that I'm supposed to be sick. But I know I make a joke of it. But honestly, if you're going to just curl up in a corner, you're not going to make anything of your life. You are going to probably die. But I'll just keep going until it is the end. It's not the end until it is. So that's just the way I live my life. I can't see any other way. There is just no other way.
That is such an inspiring story. So
thank you.
You mentioned that the first time you came out, it was disastrous. Was it disastrous because you weren't great at public speaking, or did you get a negative backlash from the people that you presented to?
No backlash whatsoever, but it was just the disaster that I didn't want to get out into the public space and speak. I was terrified. The first time I ever did any public speaking was probably in the early 90s. And I worked for a company, and there was an Afrikaans school that I used to supply, well, a town that I used to supply. I worked for a company, I don't think it exists anymore, Burhose, Cameo Pantyhose, that line of, sorry, I'm branding here now, but I have to put it into perspective. And one of the schools of this small Afrikaans town in Senekal, they asked me to compare a little girl's fashion show
Mm.
in Afrikaans.
Okay.
In my Afrikaans, even though I stayed in the Free State, isn't my first language.
Okay.
And after I did that, I vowed to a friend that went along with me. I vowed never, ever again. I felt it was disastrous, but he said to me, "No, it was fine." But I still felt I was shaking. It was awful. It was really an awful feeling.
Okay.
And anyway, I was pushed into it again, and it's never bothered me since, honestly.
So
But,
what would you say to people who are terrified of public speaking?
go to some place where you can learn to accept and be strong and be taught the correct way of presenting. I mean, we all know, I might as well say it, there's, which I don't particularly find my comfort zone there, but other people do, I know that, is Toastmasters. There are other speaking places. There are people that will train people to become speakers. So yeah, I would honestly say find somebody that can train you the right way, how to present properly, how to set up your speaking industry, your careers, should I say. I would honestly, if I had to do it over, I'd go find somebody that could guide me.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
It was terrifying.
So if we'd asked you back then, if we'd said to you back then you'd be doing what you're doing now, you wouldn't have believed it.
Never, not for a second. I would never have considered it. It would not have been part of my plans.
So it's not
That's
like you planned out a route and then got there.
Definitely not. No, that's it. That's why I say, when things come your way, whatever, whether it's good or bad, be open to it and try it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, well, you know what, you did try. But I can really say that I've taken on everything. I've dropped a few things along the way, but I've taken on everything that I can, had a look what works, and moved on with that. Just taken that route and followed my instinct, and it's worked for me every time. Like I say, I've dropped a few things along the way, didn't quite fit in with what I was doing. So yeah.
So which things did you drop along the way that were kind of tangents that didn't work for you?
I would say that I did offer at one point that I would actually take on other people's social media management. I decided that's not for me. I feel I'm fairly okay at doing it for myself. I also feel that a person knows themselves, knows what direction they want to go in. I'm happy to teach people how to do it. But at the end of the day, yes, I can do content, I can do copywriting, that kind of thing. But when it comes to actually managing your social media, I do believe that you are the best person to do that. There are certain parts of the social media marketing that I would do, but there are certain parts that no, I don't want to do your Twitter account. I do not want to do your Pinterest account. I would look into your Instagram. I would look into your LinkedIn. I would help you with your LinkedIn profile, that sort of thing. But to actually do your marketing, your content, yourself. I'm happy to teach you how to do it. But quite honestly, I don't want to actually take on that. It's just too intense and I've got a lot to do for myself, a lot of marketing that I need to do for myself. It's really time intensive. It can be.
So which networks?
Sorry?
Yes? No, you were
the
saying?
fact that I think I've got 6 Facebook pages.
Okay.
I've got 5 Twitter pages. I've got an Instagram page, 2 websites. Yeah, it becomes a bit much. So I'm very selective. That is what I've done as well. I don't just take on anything. I'm very selective about who I do take on, whether it's for training or whether it's to help them initially for a 3-month period to get their social media, etc., up and running. I'm very selective.
So why do you have so many different pages and accounts? I know why I've got them, but I'd like to hear why you have them.
I've got 2 books, and I choose to have both each book separately.
Mm.
I have, for instance, like my personal page on Facebook. I have my speakers page. I have my 2 books pages separate. I opened another account, a Balance and Bounce, which I focus more on the TV, that side of things, TV stuff, and more of the balance stuff. And I'm developing that particular one into the coaching side, which I haven't even mentioned as yet. So I'm moving a little away from the lay counseling, more to the coaching. I'm transitioning as we speak. So that's where that's going. And that is why I have so many pages.
Okay.
I have dropped a couple of pages over the years, or adjusted some of those and dropped some, but yeah, I do keep different. And of course, I have one for my PR Ninja as well, which is completely separate but not to my speaker page.
It's interesting that you talk about it that way, because I've also found Facebook groups and pages very useful for testing stuff and then aligning around the stuff that's got more traction, and also just helping me to become clear on different messages. And it's also a
Yes.
very powerful tool for when you want to pivot your business in a new direction.
Very definitely.
Yeah.
Very definitely. And I've found that it's the easiest way to test the waters. I mean, you've got nothing to lose by testing it on a Facebook page. Delete the Facebook page, that ain't working. Or just grow it.
What did we do before we had this stuff?
We used to get in our cars and actually go and physically see people.
It took so much longer.
I still pick up the phone.
Okay.
I still pick up the phone.
Okay.
I come from that era, so yeah, I don't have a problem picking up the phone and doing a sales pitch to somebody, or for whatever purpose. But so many more people are comfortable with, be it your WhatsApp call or voice notes, or even still email. A lot of people say, oh, email's dying as a slow death. I do not believe it is. I still think it has its uses. I love my LinkedIn page, and I do bring my PR and my speaking stuff into that, and I've managed to somehow not mold them, join the two in a slight adjustment of thought process. It wasn't easy, I must say, but I have managed to bring them both into one LinkedIn page.
So who is your typical customer?
With the speaking side of things, it's definitely, I make contact with the HR community, CEOs, although the HR is definitely much more approachable. I network a lot with peers or people in the same sort of, not necessarily the HIV industry, but within the speaking industry, the training industry, because they are the people that are able to connect me to other corporate institutions as well. So that is where I go, and I've done quite a bit of, on the other side of things, freelance training in the corporate sector, where for another company, I freelance for other companies, and then I am able to present my other stuff to them as well. So it's definitely the HR and the corporate, as well as the individual. More of my activism is focused on the public sector, and I do get messages via my WhatsApp, via my Messenger, from independent, or should I say, individual people that want guidance, counseling, etc. So just by putting myself out in the public space, I do, and that generally isn't income generating, but that's my give back as far as I'm concerned. So, and then with the PR side of things, my people that I like to work with, my people, is definitely self-published authors.
Okay.
That is who I tend to focus on.
Mm, mm. And how has publishing changed over recent years?
It's, well, obviously, because we've got access to everything online, um, people read, well, they don't read as much as they used to. Me, of course, I'm still old school. I like to hold a book in my hand. I read in the region of 12 books a month.
Mm.
And I try to promote that to other people as well. But I see people, especially in the training and the speaking industry, are self-publishing. It's very difficult to get your book in with a standard publisher.
Mm.
And yeah, it definitely over the years it's changed. I know very few people that have gone through a publisher as such. People in the speaking and the training industry, they want to use their books as part of um, their training program, or
Mm.
their speaking, either sell from the back of the room, or they use it as a giveaway, which obviously we include in the price, but we don't always mention that. But
Mm.
yeah, you can negotiate with things like that when it comes to your self-published book, because when you are with a publisher, you
Mm.
actually have to purchase your books back from the publisher to be able to
Mm.
sell if you're using
Mm.
it as a
Mm.
marketing tool or a
Mm.
training tool.
Mm.
Whereas I can say to a client, okay, you've got X amount of budget, I won't charge you for the talk, but please take 60 books,
Mm.
and at least your staff can take the book home, kind of thing. And that's how I use mine as a tool.
Mm.
So
Mm.
yes, people are starting to realize that um, self-publishing is definitely, especially if you're an independent, easier option and a better option. And of course, you don't get the kind of income through a publisher as you
Mm.
get if you are self-published.
Mm.
Of course, there's a
Mm.
lot of marketing you have to do to generate those kind of sales. But
Mm.
hey,
Mm.
find somebody. If you can't do the marketing yourself, find somebody that can do it for you, help you with it at least.
Mm. I've published 2 books through a publisher, and I frequently get emails or messages that say you must be a millionaire by now. And I
Sorry.
realize I realize when people say that, they have no idea
No idea.
what my royalty is on those copies, and that a print run in South Africa, even through a reputable publisher, is not that many
Yeah,
books,
yeah,
especially if you're
yeah,
in a niche market.
yeah, for sure.
And I've also seen that there's kind of a culture that people expect you to give them books.
Yes,
Do
yes,
you encounter that at all?
very much so. I
Okay.
mean, I have probably given books away,
Mm.
but it depends on the circumstances. I have given books away, and um, yeah, it's yeah, they do expect freebies.
Mm. Mm.
They do. They don't know. They don't realize just what an effort and how much time it took you to write that book.
Mm. Mm. My
Oh, I'm
first
your
book took
friend.
me 10 years.
My first book took me 3 months. Sorry.
No. I know I
Four
was a
months. Sorry,
slow
I lied. Four
starter with
months.
that one. I know I was a slow starter with that one.
It wasn't a thick book. So
Yes, yes. And I think mine took so long because I wanted it to be perfect.
yeah,
And
mine was more to get the message out
mm,
to the public, and that
mm,
was kind of
mm,
what was pushing me.
mm, mm.
So
Do you
yeah,
find
but it
there's
wasn't easy. It's not easy.
mm,
It's time
do you,
consuming. I
do
get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, write for 2 hours, give myself 1,500 words to write every morning, and
mm,
minimum. And if I didn't write that, then I would have to double up the next day.
mm,
So yeah, you've
mm,
put yourself under pressure.
that's discipline. So do you find that there is still a stigma out there for people with HIV?
I tried not to use the word stigma
Okay,
because I use the word discrimination. And the
okay.
reason I don't use the word stigma is because people that are HIV positive are their own worst enemies.
Mm,
And the fact is, we, not me, we as HIV positive people are the ones that are using that word. Nobody else is. So we are perpetuating the fact that there is still a stigma. And obviously we're brainwashing people by saying that. So I try to avoid using that. I mean, yes, there is discrimination still. I don't have anything like that. I don't know what people say behind my back, but that's their problem. It's not my problem. And the sooner people that are HIV positive start to act that same way, the better it is going to be for them. It's like, you know what? If you have a problem about my HIV status, run along. The sooner you as a person will be happy and move forward in life. So yes, there is still discrimination out there, but it's not to the degree that some people think that it was 15, 20 years ago.
Okay.
Definitely not.
It's good to hear that it's changed and changing.
Yeah. In some cultures, obviously, there is a little bit more of a discrimination, but that is also lessening. People actually don't care, and the sooner HIV positive people realize that, the sooner they can move forward with their lives.
That's very useful information. Thank you. I've known people who've lived with that discrimination before, and it's really encouraging to hear that the culture is shifting.
Yeah, it is. And I use this particular perception of mine quite often when I do presentations, because there was always more discrimination amongst the Black community, but more and more Black women are coming out and disclosing their status and actually taking ownership of that and going out into the community and talking about it, that it is lessening in their culture, in the Black culture as well. Very definite.
So how does it affect your daily life and your being an entrepreneur?
Not at all. It doesn't affect my daily life at all, except now I'm a little bit miffed because I'm going to be going on to the new medication and I have to take it in the morning instead of the evening. It's one pill I take. That is it. That is it. The new medication, TLD, I've been told that I should rather take it in the morning because it does cause insomnia. So yeah, it's I'll have to make sure, and I have to take it at the same time every day. So that's going to be a little bit of an adjustment, because I mean, I've been on my medication since 2008.
Okay.
So it's 12 years I've been taking it at 7 o'clock at night.
Okay.
So I'll have to just
so
make
it's a
that
new habit.
But hey, I will.
You are so inspiring, because it looks as though this thing, instead of it defining you in a negative way, has just inspired you to expand.
Yeah, no, I'm out there to show people that, you know what, so what? I'm HIV positive, so what? I'm not going to rule it, let it rule me. I am the boss, and we have this little agreement every year that my HIV has its birthday. I celebrate in some form of another. At 13, we turned a teenager. At 14, it was my dear Valentine, my dear HIV Valentine. This year it will be sweet 16 of some sort. So I do something every single year. And that started from year 10. And I put a tattoo on my shoulder. The first year I did a circle with a red ribbon inside, and 2010 something else. And each year that I survive, I drop the date in 11th of November, 20 whatever. And so I've got quite a couple of dates down my back already.
That's
so
wonderful.
that I celebrate it.
That's amazing. You're so inspiring. So where to next?
Stupid.
Where to next?
Sorry. I don't know. Somebody asked me the other day what do I do for some adventure. And I mean, 2018, I had the heart attack in March, and my 60th birthday was in April. And I wanted to jump off Signal Hill for my birthday. Obviously, I couldn't. March, April, it was less than a month. So in December 2018, I jumped off Signal Hill for World AIDS Day, because of my 60th birthday. So I would like to get back on a motorbike. So from there, I've always wanted to, and I'm just hoping that somebody will come on board with it. I actually have another Facebook page that's not very active at the moment. It's called High Venture Tour de Life. I started it many years ago, and I would love to get on a motorbike and travel around the country and spread a message of hope.
Wow.
And that has been at the back of my head for so many years, since I went public, basically.
You seem to be getting younger, not older. You have more energy than
I do
people
still have my
halfway.
motorbike license.
Okay. Have you kept it current?
Yep.
Do you have a motorbike
absolutely.
to ride yet?
No.
Okay.
I used to ride off-road. Honda XR200R was my motorbike. And I would love to have another one like that. I'd give my eye teeth to be able to ride again.
I see it coming.
So yes, that is kind of what I would like to do, as a follow-on of all the stuff that I've been doing.
Okay. Well, I'm certainly going to keep my eye on you and keep watching your story, because I am very, very curious to see how this unfolds.
Thank you.
So,
I hope it unfolds as I plan. Well, I never plan. Things seem to just happen, and then I grab them or don't.
That's a wonderful attitude to have. I bet you have less disappointment because you have less expectation of the process.
I don't let anything disappoint me ever. I just go with the flow, drop whatever doesn't work, and keep going.
That's a great attitude. So, Cindy, if people want to connect with you online, where do we find you? Where are the best places to find you?
Well, I am on Facebook, Cindy Pivacic. My surname is spelled Pivacic, and Cindy Pivacic, speaker, HIV and AIDS. I'm all over Facebook. As I say, I've got a couple of pages, but probably the easiest way to find me is if you Google Cindy HIV, and from there, it's the easiest way to find me.
Okay, fantastic.
I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I am on Facebook, I have websites. So, but the easiest way is to Google Cindy HIV. You'll find me.
Okay, that's wonderful. It's good to know that Google is your friend.
Oh, absolutely.
So, Cindy, do you have any parting words for aspiring entrepreneurs who are watching us today?
Oh, absolutely. Don't wait too long, because it might just never happen if you don't push it.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your energy and your passion and enthusiasm with us today. It was truly inspiring to speak to you.
It's only a pleasure, and thank you so much for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's a pleasure.